Hello, and welcome to this session regarding Powerproject 15. My name is Ben Taunt, and I'll be spending the next 30 minutes helping to show how Powerproject 15 can help to improve your planning. Now, you well may have been attracted today to this session by the news that Powerproject have launched their latest release. That sort of gives you a hint to the heritage that lies behind this product. Powerproject 15 is the 15th edition of this software that we've been producing here in the UK for the last 30 years. Used all over the world as well. It's used by the vast majority of the main contractors, but also by a number of house builders, subcontractors, and even individuals planning the most simplistic of projects. But hopefully you're here today to hear about why we should be considering the use of Powerproject 15 on our programs. And I'd like to take you down that road today by helping you to understand why you can trust Powerproject 15 to improve your planning. There's a few key messages around that. For start, Powerproject 15 builds on the existing robustness of the technology to introduce new techniques for assessing your plans and making sure the output you're producing is of a quality standard, but also meets criteria to make sure there's no missed ends or problems in the plan that haven't been revealed. We have techniques to help you collaborate as a team, and that could be in a disparate environment where you're collaborating across a disconnected environment, or that could be collaboration in a more real-time live environment, and I'll cover some of those points later. Powerproject 15 has a number of approaches, which means there's a flexibility to how you can utilize it. That could be from using our cloud edition, or it could be in terms of using our new mobile phone applications, so that you can get access to your planning data and update that progress report from wherever it is you happen to be. The visual side of Powerproject has only improved over years. Now with improved BIM capabilities for producing plans in 4D, but even just in terms of producing the core schedule itself, there are a number of enhancements to how the visuals appear in Powerproject 15. And most importantly, we put control in the hands of the user. So rather than forcing you down the route that we believe you should take as a planner, we make sure that the software is flexible enough so that you can control how your project appears and how you want to utilize it within your environment. So the objective for today is to lift the lid on some of those topics and show you how you can achieve those in Powerproject 15. Clearly, we only have a short space of time today, so this will be a whistle-stop tour through the key functionality, building up on some of those main topics we've touched on. If you have any questions for me at any point, please do tap those into the control panel of GoToMeeting. Now, I'm going to start by producing a brand new schedule. So if I close the one I was playing with earlier, if you've seen Powerproject before, straight away you'll start to recognize some differences in the latest version. The whole interface that we've produced has been refreshed, keeping in tune with the latest Microsoft standards. So as I create a brand new project plan using a template, that means a lot of the structure that's in my plan has already been pulled through by use of a template that we've created and edited. One I used was a standard Alicasoft delivered template, but we encourage our customers to customize their own templates, such that when you click on resources, the items you see here are specific to the industry you're working in and the organization that you're sat within. If you've used other planning software, if I grab my mouse and simply start drawing bars on a chart and linking those up again intuitively by using your mouse, you may start to understand why Powerproject has such a strong customer base here in the UK. The simplicity at which we approach planning really makes sure that the most simple of tasks can be done quickly. I'm going to turn my auto reschedule on, such that when I do draw a new chart, a new task on the chart, I draw a link on that chart, it jumps into the most comprehensive place, the most sensible place for it to be. You'll note that all these activities have a red outline on them. That's indicating to me as the planner, each of those activities are critical. So if I drop a milestone on this, that's an activity with zero duration. That represents a key milestone, something we have to hit. In this example, if I put some names against these, that milestone can be the end of this phase of the plan. You'll note how easy it is to edit things, make changes. There's no sort of enforced process here. But if I have a end of phase milestone, you'll see that there's a logical chain of activities shown on the chart. I can edit these further, I can drag these around, and you'll see that all of the information is flowing through. I could type that in as well, so if I did want to manually type in information, I can do that through the spreadsheet view. But talking about critical path, if I had an activity here where it had some ability to what we call float in time, so that it had a number of different times in which it could be finished, you'll see that one doesn't have a red outline and it has this sort of tram line along the back here, what we call the float. So that means that that activity could be flexible when it's delivered, and you've got to plan around how to deliver it such it doesn't then impact that end date. But if I take that off for now and grab all those activities, I've got a big button at the top called Summarize. That allows me to pop those into the phase of the project, and you get this separate what we call summary bar that opens and closes to show a small subnet of that project. One of the new parts to Powerproject 15 is what we call these milestone appearances. So this end date here is currently represented by a diamond. That's the default shape. But I can simply drag another shape, drop that onto the chart and make that into a circle. Perhaps I want to make that into a star, for example. And that then means if I have a series of different milestones, let's give all of these 0 duration and turn off that float view just so that the screen gets a bit clearer. I could make those a number of different shapes. They could have different meanings to my plan, so that I can then state what these different shapes mean in the project plan. So that could be sequencing when we get watertight. That one might be, I don't know, site handover even, or any other thing to represent through the visual side of the software. A lot of what we do when we're planners or project managers is quite repetitive. So that very simple chain of activities I've produced there as a phase, that might be something I want to utilize time and time again. Now in Powerproject, I can right click and add that to the task pool. Now a task pool is simply a collection of different activities over here in the left hand side, ready for me to utilize at any point. So if I wanted to replicate that phase, I just pick up the whole section, drop it on the chart. If I was to link up the milestone to the first activity, you'll see that move off into the future, such that I now have a project plan with multiple phases to it. If I double click on those bars, they open and close. But I think you'll all agree, at the moment, my plan doesn't look very nice. It's a bit ugly in terms of its coloring. So I can color up these bars simply by choosing a color from my left-hand side and dropping it onto an activity. But importantly, these don't just simply mean a color, they are a bit of metadata, something that's been assigned to that activity, an indicator that that task, an example I've put there, means it's a brickwork task. So if I had a number of different brickwork tasks, perhaps across both phases, and again, just to improve the visuals, let's make something stand out as well. Let's put some other colors and patterns onto these activities. I may have several hundred, potentially thousands of activities here. And if I wanted to find all the brickwork tasks, as a user, all I simply have to do is double click brickwork, and brought straight to screen, displayed straight towards me are those activities I'm interested in. It is quite common for a plan to have multiple sections to it. That might be involving different bits of information. So in Powerproject 15, I can actually have multiple display indicators on screen at more than once. So that's the first time we've allowed that, having multiple code libraries displayed. Resourcing is also a key part to a successful project plan. Powerproject's resource engine is very comprehensive. And rather than doing a full half-hour conversation purely about resourcing, just to pick out on the highlights to this, my resources are extra bits of information, a bit like a code library that I can assign by dragging over and dropping onto a chart. Likewise, now if I were to click the bricklayer's task, I would only see those activities that the bricklayer has been assigned to. So again, making sure that my project plan, whilst all the data can be put in there, be layered up in terms of complexity, very quickly can I as a user get to those key messages that I want to know about. Resources also come at a cost. I've got to pay these people something. And Powerproject's got a comprehensive cost handling, income and expenditure section to it as well. So this activity, I've said I'm going to pay this brickie his standard rate. That's allowing me to visualize the fact that this task is going to cost me £2,400. Where are we getting that from? It's the duration of the activity. So as that activity duration changes in time, you'll see that cost is also changing based on how much I'm paying that bricklayer per day and how many days that activity is taking me. There's lots of different ways of visualizing this, and one is to use what we call a histogram. A histogram is simply a graph in what most people would refer to it as. I can see, for example, when I've got bricklayers allocated to my job. So if I move one of these tasks, you'll see the graph changes below. If I have bricklayers, multiple bricklayers assigned, so I may have 2 bricklayers on that job and only 1 on that job, you'll see how these graphs change. But I can also do that in terms of cost or income. So my cost is ramping up. I didn't actually assign a cost to that activity. If I do the same as I did before and assign a cost, you'll see we've got these stepped graphs showing how my project costs are increasing as the work goes forwards. So Powerproject 15, making sure that all your plans have got those information layers in it that you need to produce a quality output. But a project plan is not simply a static picture. It's not just something we produce once and then forget about, file away, put in a drawer somewhere. This is a living, breathing document. It needs to be updated on a regular basis. So that brings me on to what we call progress within Powerproject, but also baselining. And I'll do the baseline section first. I've sat down around a table with my contractor or with my client, and these activities, where I've put them in time, this is what we're all going to strive to achieve. So once I've got that agreement, I could put this down as our agreed plan. So I'm going to create what's called a baseline called the agreed plan. You'll see on screen, each activity now has a small sister child, a child bar underneath it, which represents when I made that agreement, that is where that task sat. That is a read-only activity. I can't move it around. The live dates I can still edit. And if I make task 1 longer, you'll see flowing all the way through that chart, all the way through what we call the critical path. We are now comprehensively running late on this plan. Those milestone dates have shifted based on where the baseline was. You'll see it only took me a couple of clicks to create that baseline, and then very quickly visually we're seeing that information. Now in the table section, that is to say the spreadsheet, I can show that with even more levels of detail. Let me just remove some of the columns we're not interested in today. But I can say that the baseline here said that I was going to start that activity on the 16th of May. But if I then progress this project, and that is to say tap in what actually happened, this table can start to give me more data. I've got a black line here, and that's going to represent the day today. It's basically like sliding a rule down the screen saying, where are we today? So if I pretend for the purpose of this demonstration, it's now, let's say it's the end of June. So I'm just going to double click on this black line, and I'm going to change that reporting date to be the end of June. I'm saying that as of the end of June, where are we going to be in this plan? You'll see my black line has shot forward, apart from where we've still got these activities that in effect occurred in the past. My planned complete column's been fulfilled. Powerproject is telling me I should have done 100% of that activity by the end of June. In my actual percent complete column, I've got the ability to tap in a number to show what we actually completed. Let's say we only did 80% of that task. Let's say we only did 50% of that task. You'll see they've been colored up, they've been coded at the top. I've got a visual indicator of where this activity's got to, and my jagged line is showing me where progress has been to date. Anything behind the line should have occurred. Anything in front of the line, that's off into the future. If you're curious about this hashed area in May, in this case, that's representing the May bank holiday. Likewise replicated at end of August. These are days off that we have here in the UK, and you'll see my tasks narrowing, and any activity that I attempt to draw over that task, over that date, will get moved forwards. That's a day of non-working time shown on the bar chart. But where I've got these tasks behind the line, if I was to do a reschedule, that is to say, please straighten my line as of the end of June, please pretend it's now the 1st of June and I want to know what's going on, it's going to move forward all the activities I failed to complete in June and stick them into July so I still know that they need to be worked on. And I get this whole chain flowing through showing me where all these improvements need to be made in order to bring this project back on scratch. Now, obviously, tapping that data straight into Powerproject is the simplest way if you are in charge of everything and you've got your laptop with you. But what about if you're out in the field and you want to get this information from the site and get that updated? Or if you've outsourced that to somebody else, you want somebody to give you the report, you don't necessarily want them to be using Powerproject to achieve that. So let me drag onto screen here my mobile phone. So this is just a replicated version of my mobile, and you'll see that Elikasoft have an app here called Site Progress. So a Site Progress app is a way of looking at your project plan, looking at the tasks that are in that plan, and updating them from the mobile phone. So I can go into one of these activities, let's say this road-based activity, and I've now got a slider that I can slide forward to tell me, to allow me to report how much of that activity we've completed. So I can say, when did we actually finish it? I can pick a date, this makes more sense, and say, when do we complete these activities? If I do that on another task as well, this was 62%, I can drag that forward, but perhaps I haven't actually finished it yet. So I can say, we have some work remaining. I think we've still got 4 days left on this chart, on this task. And to prove my point, I can take some photos. So if I pick my phone up and point it out the window, you get a view of a nice field that sits outside my window. I can take that as a picture and I can include that in my project report against that task. So there's my picture, but that's all well and good. I actually want to make some comments in this picture. I can tap on that. I can go into the editing parts of the Site Progress tool. I can, for example, draw, let's say a big red arrow, and I could actually put some text into here as well if I wanted to. So I could type a comment on it. It's in red, so you can't really see that, but that is a commentary bar that I can tap in. So let's make that bright orange. So I can edit these photos so that when they get shown by the user back at head office, they've got some idea of what's going on. So here's a comment to my staff: please clean the windows. And that information is going to be taken from the mobile phone, pushed back into Powerproject. Now, one part of the software I haven't yet touched on, and it is a big differentiator compared to some of our competitors, is the ability to put multiple tasks per line. Let me just turn off reschedule. I can actually have multiple activities all lined up on one line. Now, this is really common in the house building world. I can also actually make these tasks overlap so that they can show work that might overlap each other. And this could represent building a house with each separate individual task being a separate stage of building that house. Rather than one line, I could, if I want, by using this drop-down line, show them multiple tasks. So that might be the foundations, that might be the brickwork, roofing, etc. So using Powerproject's multiple tasks per line, I can quite easily wrap lots of activities up and show them grouped together. If I bring back the mobile phone tool, again, that becomes really relevant. And this is a house building section of my project plan. So I've got different house plots here. I can go into this house plot and basically simply tick the activity. No more comprehensive than saying, yes, I have completed that task. Now I can go into more details and add the photos, etc. But ultimately, a lot of time when you're doing house building, or if you're in interior fit out, let's say you're whipping around a hotel saying how many hotel rooms have been replastered, by having multiple tasks per line and just simply ticking those boxes, that's a really quick way of getting that report from site. So I do want to build up from this and show you a more comprehensive project plan. So if I open one we prepared earlier, straight on screen you'll see there a really nicely coloured up procurement schedule. So these are activities with milestones against them that relate to other activities in my build. So that's the procurement section of the plan. I've then got the main construction program underneath. Obviously, we spent a lot more time on here, making it more visually attractive. These indicators down the side here are telling me more detail about these tasks. So whether they're a critical task in red, whether they're a task in green that says they're not critical, or if I put some progress on one of these activities, you'll see blue means part of it has been completed, with the remaining section remaining critical. So these indicators are quite quickly helping me to see what's going on. And if I was to look at just that procurement schedule and open that back up again, Powerproject is also well known for its printing capabilities. I go into the area here where I can hit print. Straight away, I've produced an output where all these activities have been put onto one page. I've actually got different borders here that I can show. These legends at the bottom here, if I had multiple pages to my printout, those legends will appear on every single page. And that gives me a way of printing this and giving it to other users. But it might be that my job is to compile lots of information from lots of different parts of the program. So if I do have both a construction program and a procurement program, I might not be responsible for procurement. How do I get that procurement team to produce their own plan or to update the plan they gave me yesterday? And that's where our book in, book out functionality comes to play. I can grab that procurement section. I can press the button called book out. It says you need to save it first. That's a good error check. I can save that project plan, and I can say I want to send to a just singular PP file. So I can stick that on my desktop, and I can call this the procurement section. It creates a separate project plan just of procurement that may also include, for example, the baseline. And it checks that out such that I can no longer edit it. You see it's gone that sort of rather horrid yellow, but it does mean that that section is booked out. I now can no longer pick up these tasks and edit them. A different user could be emailed that section of the project plan. They can open it in their own version of Powerproject, make their changes, add in their extra information, progress it, and then they can send that back to me, allowing me to book in that update. So I've got that updated version of the procurement section and booked back in again. Now that is incredibly powerful functionality when it comes to thinking about all the different people that might be involved in this process and how are we going to collaborate without getting conflicts between my different versions. And that's where booking in and booking out comes into play. Now we talked earlier on about quality, and if I look at this construction program, how do I know this is any good? How do I know there aren't some glaring errors, some bits have been forgotten, people haven't linked tasks up properly? Perhaps I have set standards to which my projects have to apply. You'll see on the toolbar at the top there a big button called Quality Check. And Powerproject ships with effectively these two different sets of standards, a North American one and a UK standard one. I'm going to use the UK standard one as an example. We have a number of different tests here that Powerproject can check across this project plan. It can look at, for example, whether all the tasks have got links on them. It can make sure the tasks aren't any longer than a certain duration. Can make sure that none of the names are repeated across the whole plan. So I haven't just got brickwork, brickwork, brickwork. I've got brickwork level 1, brickwork level 2. I can set these checks that I want my project to apply and execute that check where Powerproject will go through and assess how well have we done in terms of producing this project. This would be a brilliant quality check, sanity check if someone else had produced it and sent it to me. So I've got an issue here where there are some tasks that have failed my check. And if I pick one of these as an example, I can actually show the failing tasks. As you'll see in the background, my view has changed, such as only those activities that failed the test have now been shown on the screen. So that quality schedule check is about Ecosoft making sure that those people using Powerproject are producing the best possible plans they can. And then the final topic I want to touch on today, just to leave this thought with you really, is about the use of 3D models within your planning stage. So what I've got now on screen is exactly the same Power Project as you've seen just now, but I've opened up a 3D model of this building and linked that up to my activities. Such that if I click on this air handling unit in the model, you'll see the task relating to that air handling unit gets highlighted. If I click on this ground floor slab, you'll see the activity relating to that ground floor slab gets highlighted to me. So we have linked up the 3D model to our project plan. There's also a baseline in here as well. That allows me to have two versions of my project. I can actually make sure those two windows are in check. And when I press the play button at the top, we will start a sequence such that I've got on the bottom the baseline. Where do we say we're going to be? The top view, the live dates, where are we actually? And if I pause that, you'll see this red line has gone sliding across my screen. In this scenario here, let me make it a little bit more obvious. Columns are always a good one to look at. According to the baseline, we should have completed all of the columns on floor 2. According to my live dates, we've only just really started that. And in the 3D, that exact representation is apparent. There are all the columns highlighted in orange. They've all been installed according to the baseline. But in my live dates, if I was to look out the site window and see what's going on, I'll see that we're clearly behind on those sections. And as I run that scenario forwards, these can be exported into video files, shared with other users, put into our printouts. We can have our team meeting around the morning looking at this. So I've got this really much more comprehensive, more understandable view of what's happening by using the power of BIM to demonstrate my project plan, and also as part of that quality check to make sure that I haven't scheduled the roof to be installed before I've got the supporting beams up on site. So Power Project BIM opening up the world of 4D, even to those who are just starting their planning career. And really that was the intent of today's session, just opening the lid on the power of Power Project 15. I hope you've understood there why the output is of a very high quality. It's been checked both through a BIM representation, but also by using those schedule checks I showed. We touch on collaboration in terms of the book in, book out. We also have tools for real-time collaboration by producing an enterprise edition of Power Project. But lots of different options in how I go about creating my plans. So if that was enough to whet your appetite and you think Power Project 15 is something you want to get involved with, the best way of getting your hands dirty on it is to download it from our website for free, play with it for a number of weeks, and make sure that you understand what it can do for you as a business. We'll support you hand in hand through that process. To download Power Project 15 from our website. You can also download the Site Progress mobile app from the App Store if you've got an Android phone or an iOS device. If you go to the respective app stores, you can download that. I was showing the demo mode today, so you can see in demo mode what it's like to update activities. Grab an IFC file. That's the 3D model I showed in the BIM window. Grab an IFC that you've got from one of your design team. Chuck it into Power Project BIM as part of your trial. See how that can work for you. And obviously, the 30-minute session today is not going to be enough to help you understand all of the different functions. So a colleague of mine in the training team has produced a series of different lessons. I think there's 7 different videos that range from sort of like 4 minutes to 10 minutes, showing you all the different techniques that are in Power Project and helping you understand how to use those. So do make sure you're using those videos during your trial process. But if at the end of a trial, you think you're ready to go, if you revisit the website and go to the buy button that's on the top right-hand corner, you can buy a license of Power Project today off the website. There's also lots of information there about how you can book onto the various training courses we have. We do both classroom-based training, training where we come to visit you. We also have a series of web-based courses, sort of 2-hour-long training courses for those who want to spend less time traveling to a classroom and do bite-sized training. And one final message, we want to be as flexible as we can in how we provide our software to our customers. Ultimately, you're the person who's going to decide how you want to use it and what best suits your environment. And it's our job to make sure our software reflects that. So we have what we call our standalone versions, our enterprise versions, and our cloud versions. You decide what's the best for you. Single user license is still the most best-selling version of Powerproject. You have a local license. There's no dependencies on the internet. There's no requirement to renew it every year. It's yours to keep. You pay an upfront cost. That's your license to use forever. Similar model in terms of providing it as a local install, but on a perpetual basis. But our concurrent licenses are shared across a team of individuals. You can buy concurrent users, put it on your company network, and share that access across a number of users, bringing down your cost per person. I touched on the Enterprise Edition earlier, the multi-user version. That's the larger scale one that's often used on mega projects or major programs. It was used to build the Shard. It was used recently on Tottenham Spurs new stadium. Prices for that start at £1,800. But we do also have our cloud version. Powerproject SaaS, an online version of everything I've shown you today. You can still use the site progress tool with the SaaS version, but you're paying for it on a usage basis, what we call a term license over a number of months. Clearly, wherever you are, wherever you happen to be, as long as you've got a good internet connection, you can then get access to Powerproject. If you want any more information on any of those options, if you think that this is something you want to go ahead with, just drop us a line. You can email us at sales@legasoft.com, call the office 01844 261 700. Revisit the website, download a trial, and make sure you understand the power of Powerproject 15. Thank you.